Hey, Ronnie Dale, Four Wheeling Australia. Welcome to Talking 4x4, another episode of this. We have a special guest in today, one that has not appeared yet. So I'm going to invite Heiner in. Heiner?
Ronnie.
How are you, mate?
Very good. Thanks for having me here.
No worries, mate. Auto Sparky. So what's your business called?
Klarman Automotive Solutions.
That's right.
We specialize in auto electrics for four-wheel drives and heavy machinery, trucks and all that sort of stuff.
Done a fair bit of work at Quick Pitch. You're working
That's
on...
right, yeah. I built all the electrics for the higher spec Troopy conversions there. So that's the main focus that I have with them.
And you've done a lot of work on Andrew White's car as well?
Yes, the last 76 series that he built, the project that he had on YouTube, I did all the auto electric work for that.
I think you can guess what this show is all about. Well, one of the main topics is about lights. Here we have a cheap knockoff.
Yeah.
We're going to teach people how to see defects and know when you're getting ripped off, because we do some pretty cool testing.
Yeah.
Testing watts.
Yeah, we're testing the watts, but we also want to put a focus on other things like build quality of brackets, how well is the seal being made, how good are the optics in the lights. These are also points that you really have to look out for when you buy a light somewhere.
Yeah, and then the complete BS, which we expose as well.
Exactly.
And we're looking at knockoff to your entry level, to your mid level, to A grade, light force, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool. And what's the next topic we got? Well, we also have DIY mistakes, top 3. I'm looking forward to that one. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Cool gear, which is a new segment we've added. Cool gear.
Yeah.
You've seen it already?
Yeah.
Is it cool?
It is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Very interesting.
We have the common YouTube questions, electrically based, and we also have things you didn't know and things I didn't know.
And that will be interesting as well, I reckon.
I reckon
a lot
too.
of people don't know.
We have a lot of stuff to cover here, so we'll get straight into it. Things you didn't know. Things I didn't really know. You learn something new every day. I learned a lot today actually, and I'm going to learn a lot more. Cool. Anderson plugs.
Yeah, Anderson plugs. Anderson plugs are a big one. Anderson plugs are used for solar quite a lot. But the problem is most Anderson plugs used with solar, they stay connected for almost their whole lifetime, especially for hardwired solar installation. You have the solar plug, you plug in the Anderson plug, and your connectors will sit together, but are still exposed to moisture, salt spray, and so on and so forth. So they start corroding on the contact surface.
It's fun they go green, because I've had this problem before.
They go green and you get a voltage drop there as well. It gets to the point where your solar panel doesn't really work anymore. As soon as you take your Anderson plug and plug it, unplug it about 10, 15, 20 times, it starts to work again. Because the Anderson plugs have scratched away the corrosion on the contact surfaces.
Which are these lips here, right?
That's right, yes, those ones.
It's like that?
Like that.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly like that. So you plug that in and out. It's sort of self-cleaning, but it has to be plugged and unplugged from time to time. So it's really good on the back of your car, where you plug in your trailer and unplug it quite a lot.
Or you plug a solar blanket in.
Yeah, it's really good for that as well. But if you have a more permanent connection, even for solar, on the outside of a car, I would always use Doji plugs. Yeah,
okay, so now we're going to go to the Doji plug option. If you do have something permanently connected, you should probably just make the wire go the whole way in one piece or join the wires. If you can do that, that's always preferable. So solder and heat shrink is always the best way, because that will join the cable proper and you don't have a weak spot somewhere. But if you want a permanent, semi-permanent, then we go to Doji plugs, right? Yeah. So I think most people understand this is a normal Doji plug, which everyone's aware of. Yeah. Really good water seal connection. That's exactly right. I mean, Caterpillar uses them for all their machinery, so that says something about it. It's got to be good then. Yeah, exactly. Because they're all outside.
So this is your standard Doji plug. This is good for 13 amps. You shouldn't put more than 13 amps through this. And this is a fully sealed plug where you have rubber seals in the back. You've got rubber seals around the area where they join. And on the other plug, you've got rubber seals as well. So your connector will stay dry in there.
I haven't seen this size before.
And this is sort of the same thing, just bigger. You've got the same rubber seals everywhere. And this is a 2-pin Doji connector as well. But this is good for 25 amps, which works really well and can just stay connected indefinitely.
So you can crimp 6mm cable into these. And they work exactly the same way. They're just a little bit more heavy duty. A little bit more expensive as well, but really good for small voltage drop for a solar panel.
In other words, Heiner, you're saying that if you have solar panels on your roof, instead of using this, resort to that.
Exactly, yeah. I would always try to use that for it. You can also have mounting brackets where these just slide in, and you can have that mounted on your car, and then the solar panel can always plug in with that connector, and you don't have cables floating around.
Okay.
And you can plug it, unplug it, whichever way you want to. And it's a sealed connection. You don't get water in there. That's the main thing. Water is always the enemy there.
Yeah, it is. And mud, because it sits there with the salt and the mud and all that.
Absolutely.
So my question to you then, most people have problems with these when they have a canopy in the back. So my old canopy setup, my current canopy setup at the moment has Anderson plugs. And I'm aware of this fact that they're going to fill up with crap and I'm going to have to pull it apart and clean it. But I didn't know I could just do that.
That's right.
So I'll just do
it
that
works
for
most
now.
of the time, yeah.
What would you recommend a person should use, like myself, to connect the canopy up permanently? Just power.
For just power, this will work quite well. You can use something like that.
Okay, so that would be an alternative.
Yes, that's right. And there's other products as well that are completely IP67 rated for these Anderson plugs.
Okay.
They are sleeves that when they connect together, they're proper joined together and there's no more water coming into them, even if when they are connected. So that would be preferable then.
So if you do need to use the Anderson plugs, then look for the IP67, 68, 69.
Yeah, housings that you can get for them.
Yeah, but for solar panels, you're better off just getting this because it'll be a lot cheaper, a lot easier.
Yeah.
And a lot smaller. A lot smaller too.
That as well.
We have a YouTuber question. This one's about batteries. EYHJ1822. That's his username. Hey Ronnie, my question. Best battery for four-wheel drive maintenance free or TQ? What the hell would TQ be for?
Got no idea, but just if you judge or if you just say we're talking about maintenance free or not maintenance free, for a four-wheel drive, I think that is not really the question you want to ask. What you want to ask is how strong is the battery? What are the cold cranking amps of the battery? Does it suit your engine? That is the main thing. For four-wheel drive, a good cranking battery, we're talking about the starting battery here, not the deep cycle battery.
So the main battery?
That's right, the one that will start your engine. You want something that is really strong in terms of how well is it made. Will it cope with corrugation? So if you have your battery mounted in there and you drive over corrugations, the battery will shake a lot as well.
Are you talking about internals?
Internals.
Okay.
I'm talking just internals of the battery. So you want to make sure the battery plates in there that are sitting in the acid, that they are made really strong and mounted really well. If you buy a cheap battery, these are really thin plates, they're not mounted really well. If you shake the battery too much, they can break down and they can even cause internal shortages in the battery.
Okay.
So if you take that as the cheap battery, and if you take a high-class battery, like for example your Century 4x4 Overlander battery, they have got really strong plates in there, really thick plates. They are mounted really well. They're even interlocked with each other. So you can throw a lot at that battery and it's not going to break down. It's not going to have an internal fault in it. So that is something you really want to look out for a start battery.
So my question is then, and the people's question as well will be, how do you tell the difference? Price is one way to tell the difference.
Yeah, weight is another big giveaway.
Okay.
A battery that is not made with strong internal components will be relatively light. It will still be heavy, it will still feel heavy, but if you pick up a battery for $100 and you pick up a battery for $250 in terms of a lead acid cranking battery, you will feel a lot of weight difference.
Okay.
And that's because of the stronger plates in there.
All right. So look for weight, look for price. Look if it's been under Australian standards too, I guess.
Yeah.
That's another big one. If you get an eBay battery, don't even go there.
Yeah, I will.
You'll see later. Welcome to the segment you've all been waiting for, and that is the lights. how to tell the absolute disgustingly cheap and rip-off dodginess versus the mid-range versus the okay entry range and the upper high class. Before we get into this, I suppose we should start with, I'm going to throw it to you. What do you consider a entry range? So we're not talking about the knockoffs yet.
Yeah.
The entry range, the super cheap auto, the XTMs, the 4-drive Supercenter lights.
Yeah. They are of half decent quality. They're not going to fall apart straight away or something like that. They also won't get water in them straight away. The brackets are okay. The optics are okay. They almost keep what they're promising in terms of wattage, and looms is sometimes a little bit of a different story.
Yeah,
but at least the wattage is at least within the considerable range of what they should be.
I liked how you took the technical way, because you've been an auto sparky. So I would take the layman's terms road, and I would say the cheaper lights, the ones that are actually, they're still quality controlled, but they're using cheaper components, that's the entry level. So that's for the P-plater. It's for the apprentice who wants to get into full driving. It's for the guy who doesn't need his lights. For the guy who probably just needs a little bit more than his headlights, a bit more spread out in the bush.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's not relying on it, basically.
Yeah.
That's what I'll consider.
Yeah, a lot of people who just want extra lights on their car and they're not too fussed about the light output of them, they go all right.
Yeah, exactly. And then I guess you got the next level, which is the mid-range.
Yeah, something like that. Your mid-range, straight away you see a difference in between the lights there. A lot of them will have stainless steel brackets. You will see that the seals, the proper rubber seals are different. The whole housing is different. You look at the optics of the light. You see the diodes are centered in their focal point. You see the optics are usually quite more designed and more particular than in, for example,
like
in this light where you can see like that's just cheap plastic and it's roughly where it's supposed to be, while in here things are where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That is the difference. And a light like this would be for somebody who's expecting something from his light, who would go, I want a light because I want it to do a particular job.
Cool. Well, you pretty much answered what I would say about it. It's someone who needs a light, but can't afford the top of the range.
That's exactly right. So with this, you get something that will do quite a good job. It's not for rally drivers or something like that, or people who will drive through cattle stations, but
or truckies, road trains.
Yeah, that's right.
Or people who travel long distances at night.
Yeah. You'd be surprised they still do quite well for that, though.
Yeah, they'll probably still do quite well, but if you're doing a particular job for that reason, you will probably go to the next level because you're relying on them. That's just how I look at it.
Yeah.
So let's just jump up to A-class lights.
Yeah. Well, that's where you go. A-class lights is where you don't want to compromise. You don't want to compromise in the housing. You don't want to compromise in the optics. You know exactly what your light is supposed to be doing. And you go, if it says 1 kilometer range, it will actually do 1 kilometer range. But then you pay $1.5 grand for the lights, but you get exactly what you've been promised.
Yeah.
In every kind of way.
Couldn't agree more. Also, if it says the wattage that it's going to do, they're using A-class chips. So if it says 150 watts, it will do 150. It will probably do more.
In the mid-range, the tolerances are a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Your A-grade stuff, the tolerances are quite small, and everything that doesn't fit in will be sorted out by quality control, and it's not going to end up on the market.
And you're paying for research.
That's exactly
and development
right.
as well.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's go to the wattage test.
So we did a really simple test. We just tested how much power is the light actually drawing. And by that, you can then tell a little bit about the internal workings of the light. So if a light is supposed to have 10 watt LEDs in it, and for example, only has one LED that's supposed to be 10 watt, but the light is only drawing 3 watts, then you know that you have been sold something that doesn't live up to the standard.
We'll discuss usual stuff from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top, but I think we'll start from the Doji.
Let's start there.
Start from the dodgiest thing around here, and we'll see what we get out of it. We're actually expecting this to be dodgy.
Yeah. So this is supposed to be a 370 watt light. 10-watt LEDs in it.
There's 37 LEDs in it.
And we press that in, and we are actually reading 103 watts out of it. So that means your excellent 10-watt LEDs are really crappy 3-watt LEDs.
So that, folks, is a rip-off. That is your eBay.
Yeah.
Your eBay stuff. And this is actually bought from a local store here in Wangara.
Yeah, here in Wangara. Here in town, you can buy these lights and get ripped off while you do that.
The next one, this is a C grade. This is what we call entry level. This is your super cheap auto, your full drive super center, that kind of level. This is what you should expect from this.
This is advertised 185 watt.
And it's 5-watt LEDs.
Yeah. You probably find that you'll be more towards the 3-watters. And we are getting 132 watt out of this. So that means this is
50-something watt short.
Yeah, about 50 watt short. Means your 5-watt LEDs are a little bit more than 3 watt. But I mean, these are quite cheap. These are even cheaper than these, and are better in that regard. So
this is $250 for 2 of these. Absolute rip-off. If you combine 2 of these, it still doesn't make 370 watts. Still doesn't even get near that. So one of these is short by 260 watts. They're rounded up figures. That's short by 50 something, which is acceptable.
Yeah.
And expected.
I would say so as well.
Because it's C grade chips, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to the B grade then.
So this is your bit more expensive lights. The touch and feel is a lot different already as well. It's supposed to have 90 watts.
That's a Road Vision.
That's a Road Vision one, a Road Vision Dominator Extreme series. And we are getting 73 watts out of this light, which is, given the price and the quality of the light, an acceptable figure as well. They're supposed to be 5-watt LEDs. What we get is around the 4, a bit more than 4 watts. So
it's like
with more money,
mid-grade LED chips.
That's right. I would say that's your upper mid-range light. And as you start spending more money, you're getting closer to what you are actually reading on the outside of the box as well. So
Well, let's go for the A grade then. So this, we're expecting good things from this then.
Yeah. So there, with the really expensive lights, the A grade I would call, you should possibly see the wattage that is advertised.
We'll go with the Genesis first.
Yeah.
That's meant to be 140, I think.
Or 160, 140, 160, somewhere there. So that one you're getting 170 watt out of that light.
Nice. So we're getting more than what we should be.
Yeah, now you're actually getting what you're paying for, but you're paying for it.
Yeah, but you know it's good quality.
That's right.
All right, so now let's go for the ring LED. So this is 80 watts around the ring.
So we're getting 90 watts out of that.
Okay. And then we got LEDs on as well. So take 90 off whatever you're getting now and the HID's on.
Yeah, so we are at 180 now.
Okay, should we just let the... Should we let it heat up, the HID?
Yeah, that's heated up now. It will stay roughly there. Okay. Dropping a little tiny bit, but yeah, 170, 180, that's what you're getting out of that.
Cool. All right. So there you go. I'll let you talk from the top down.
Yeah,
just your thoughts.
It just shows, once again, you get what you pay for. You know, you go for a really expensive top-of-the-range light, and you get top of the range, as you would expect, but you're paying for it. So this is possibly for your people that are really serious on your lights and that are relying on your lights, like hardcore four-wheel drivers, truckies that go through cattle stations and need about a K of sight to slow down for cattle herds and stuff like that. So that's what you would buy these lights for. And then you go a step down. You go to these lights, as example, the Road Visions that we tested here, and you get some really good lights. They don't live up to the advertisement for 100%, but you get quite close. You get good optics in these lights. They throw out some good lights. This is probably more your weekend warrior type of person, quite serious about four-wheel driving.
Around the affordable range for most
yeah,
people.
yeah, your upper mid-range level, I would say that's where these come in. And you'll see a significant price drop. They are a bit less than half the price of the A-grade ones. And as you can see, you pay half of it, the quality drops a little bit, as you would expect to. And then your next step is possibly these lights that you buy from outlets like what you said, Super Cheap Auto, Four-Wheel Drive Super Center, something like that. They don't quite live up to the expectation, but they are really cheap. This is possibly for people that say, I'm not quite happy with my normal headlights, I just want that little bit more.
You want some bush lights that provide spread, because we did shine them to the roof here, and they spread out where these are more focused.
Yeah.
Even that one's a lot more focused.
You get a lot of range because there's a lot more thought being put into the optics of these things. While this, you can see the chips aren't even in the center of the focus point of the optics in here. So that's why you pay less for these lights. And in the end, you get less light out of it. Yeah, that's even worse, that one. But yeah, that's where your steps are. That's why you pay less for some lights. And then this is even below super cheap four-wheel drive Super Center. This is just a plain rip-off,
That's just wrong. That's basically taking a low-grade light and making it sound like a high-grade light.
Yeah, you'll probably buy that for $20, $30 in China. Somebody imports that by the container load and just makes a killing of selling it to people that don't know that they're buying rubbish.
And this is something you should know about, guys. Roughly about 75% of lights that are imported into Australia that are not going through a big outlet store are not controlled. So anyone who puts their own name on a light is a warning sign. Unbranded is a warning sign.
Yeah.
And ridiculous numbers is a warning sign.
That's right. Absolute ridiculous numbers is when you read something about that the light will do 100,000 looms or something like that.
Yeah.
It's simply not true. It doesn't work. You can't get 100,000 looms out of a little light bar like that.
Look at the size on these two. This is a high grade light. It's pumping out 170 watts, more than what's shown. This is 103, and it's putting out nearly 270 less than what it should be.
Yeah.
Just watch out what you're doing out there, people. I'll go for branded lights. I'm not brand bashing anything. I'm just saying go for branded lights at a reputable store.
Yeah.
That
and
gets
make sure you get an Australian company that is supplying those lights. Possibly a company that has more than one store in one town.
Yeah.
So that there is a company behind the warranty as well, and not just a little store that might close down in 2 weeks or something like that.
Because then your warranty is gone.
That's exactly right. So, for example, with these lights, there's a big company behind them. Even if the shop where you buy them closes, it doesn't matter, you still get warranty. Same for these ones. Your Super Cheap Auto ones, same thing.
Yeah.
Something like that, you can't take that anywhere.
Nah, no one's going to talk to you about that one.
That's exactly right.
That is one way of testing the output of a light.
Yeah.
But you're probably not going to have the means to do this. So,
and it is a really simple way, because really you're interested in the lumens out of the light. That's the interesting thing. We tested to our best abilities how much power draw the lights have, and you can already tell quite a lot.
But there are other factors. One was the optics.
Definitely.
So if it's just spread and it's a driving light, you know it's going to be useless.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I've had cheap lights before on the roof, and it creates what some people call the wall of death. So you get this orb in front of you. It lights up your bonnet. It lights up too much from the sides. It's distracting.
Yes,
you lose your tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And everything beyond that's where the light is cast, you can't see until it enters the light.
Yeah.
So if you've got really cheap lights and you're going 110 kilometers per hour on the highway, all of a sudden a kangaroo will enter the wall of death, and you're like,
there it is 50 meters in front of me, because I can't see further than that.
Yeah, or even 100 or 200.
Yeah.
And it's too late, because at night you're usually tired. your stopping distance is slower, and it's called the wall of death because that kangaroo's dead.
Yeah, I mean, that's really where a lot of the differences come in. If you look at the optics in here, you will know that light bar will have a massive spread, or probably have a 40-50 degree spread going out. And you can really easily see that by looking into that. So this is probably a good work light. It is not a good driving light.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it would be perfect as a reversing light or something like that.
This would probably work as well as a high class, A grade rear light that's this big.
Yeah, it would do perfect like that.
Yeah, except for it's this big.
If you want something where you can actually get some distance out of your light, and that's what a lot of people want. They want lights and they want them to throw the light out a long way. You need very good optics, at least half decent optics. If you go into the mid-range segment, like for example this road vision lights, this has an 8-degree pencil beam. So you will see that your optics are quite deep, the diode sits back very far, and if you use this light in a workshop and you put the beam onto a wall 10-20 meters away, you will see that's probably a spot about this size. So that means all your, I think for this one, 75 watt of light output are within that 1 or 2 meters.
Yeah.
While on that, you might have the same wattage, the same light output, but it will be spread over 10-15 meters.
Yeah.
And that is a big difference in lights.
That center spot should be about half a meter in size, really freaking bright, and then slowly out from there.
And that's how you know you got a good driving light.
You can tell by in here that the chips, look at that one. They're not even lining up.
Yeah, no, it's completely out of the focal point of the optics in there.
And it's not like it's a trend to create extra spreader in this light, because I did think that to start with, because some of these are dead center, some of these are like that corner, this corner. Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah. That comes down to tolerances in production again as well, because big tolerances you can produce really cheap, and you just pump out lights for $30-40 a light bar.
Yeah, and then some people sell them for $250, like those 370 watt lights.
Yeah, they were a bit of a rip-off.
They were a massive rip-off. Now, the only reason why we haven't said who exactly the shop owner is and all that is because we don't know the legal reasons here, and he may not actually be aware of what he's actually selling.
Could be very well, yeah.
So therefore, it's just a shop somewhere in Wangara.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that if you go with a brand name, you're already a bit on the right path there.
Yeah.
A lot better than completely unbranded, or where you have just one shop and the lights will have the shop name branded on them as well. That's another good giveaway for a relatively cheap light.
At the end of this topic, the results speak for themselves, I reckon.
Yeah, I would say so.
That we did.
It shows again.
In our opinion.
Yeah, in our own opinion. But it shows again, and I think it always comes back to that with pretty much no matter what you buy, you always get what you pay for.
Yeah. If it seems too hard to be true, it's probably not.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
370 watt light. Imagine if they could do that. You would not be able to see again if you looked into it.
No, I would say so as well. You'll probably fry the roux before it hits you.
Yeah, you fry the cones in the back of your eyeballs. Welcome to Cool Gear. This is what's in my drawer. I haven't even opened it yet, but I have used one.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. There is a video on it too. So this is a super capacitor, and I am very keen to see what you have to say about this. I'll explain what it is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably will be. So most of your jump starters, they hold power. So it's like a battery. So it's like a lithium battery, it stores power, and it has a really high output at a very short period of time. A capacitor is something that can charge super fast within 2 to 3 minutes, charge fully up, and then it can jumpstart a dead battery. Yeah. And that's what it did. But then once it's discharged, it's discharged.
That's correct, yeah. The good thing is you don't need a charger with that. So you were dead set right with what you said. Most capacitors you could even charge in seconds, really, if you can provide enough power into them. Because they don't need a charger like a lithium jumpstart pack. They just take the energy in, but they can't take a lot of energy, and they can give it out like that again as well. So they're perfect for jump starting. They probably only got one jump start in them. I've never seen them before, but it's just general terms of capacitors. So charge up really quickly, discharge really quickly, but it's possibly going to be enough for 5 seconds of engine cranking, and that usually does the trick anyway.
We found that when we tried to start a Jeep with it, the Jeep went a couple of ticks over on the starter motor because the fuel wasn't quite getting in there, and then it picked it up. So it did have a little bit, but I'm not sure how much further it would have gone. But it did the job. I was sold on it.
I think really cool gear, but only if you got a second car to charge that from.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to bring that up. So unless you have a power source that you can drain the power from, you're kind of stuffed.
I mean, so it's pretty much, it is a cool jump start cable where you can be pretty far away from each other because you can just carry energy from that one battery quite easily to the other battery, jump start. And it's probably in a safe way as well because you don't get sparking. I'm not sure if this works in a way that it doesn't create a spark. Like most...
That I can't say because I was on the key end.
Okay. It is a cool gear.
I think it's pretty cool, but I wouldn't just get, if you had a convoy of 10 cars, I wouldn't just bring this. I'll bring this and I'll bring a normal jump starter as well.
I would do as well.
2 options.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get your cool thing out.
One cool thing I've got here, I'm using one of these power meters, they are commonly called, and I use that in my workshop to test solar panels, to test if solar panels work to what they're supposed to be working to. So you can quite easily plug the solar panel in one side, plug whatever the solar panel usually connects to into the other side, and you get a reading about the amps going through, about the voltage, and about the power.
And the watts too.
Yeah, the watts. So that is really easy to test if your solar panel works all right. And you can also use that to test if the battery in your camper trailer charges okay. Because usually on the back of your car, you've got one of these 50 amp Anderson plugs. So you just plug that into the back of your car, plug your camper in there, and just take a reading and see if your battery charges all right. So it's a very handy tool. I wouldn't use it to install it somewhere permanently. Nah. I just use it as a tool, like a multimeter, pretty much.
It is like the ultimate multimeter because it tells you even more. So it tells you what's coming through. That's why I really like it. So I actually saw this on a modified episode, and I was like straight on eBay, bought the exact same one. But then when I saw that you have one too, I was like, yeah, I'm onto something good.
It's a handy tool, definitely.
This we actually used on the previous trip. I was able to see how much wattage we're pulling through solar panel because on the fronts of the vehicle, when you have a BCDC charger, you don't know what comes in.
Yeah, that's right. You've got no display, nothing.
Yeah.
You get a voltage reading maybe, but
you can't tell what's going on.
That's
you can't tell the amps. You can't tell. You can't tell the watts.
Yeah.
So yeah. Really cool item to have. You can diagnose problems when you're out in the bush.
Yeah, quite easy.
Leading on to a YouTube question, we're going to bring up a third cool item. So let's do it now. I'll find a question while you do that.
It's going to be a bit hard to put that up there.
I think it's this one, yeah. The dual battery question, wasn't it? Don't break my table.
Smash that. So that is called the Klarman Craftwork.
So this is one of your inventions.
Yeah, that is the prototype of, people would probably say a battery box, but it really is a dual battery system, but one that you can carry around. It's got all the bits and pieces in there that I would use for dual battery system installation in a car. It's got an AGM battery, it's got your red arc charger. You can't see that on this side. It's got a red arc 350 watt inverter. It's got all your outputs. You can connect your vehicle, you can connect your solar. You can also connect a 240 volt charger to it, and you've got a proper Victron battery monitor that will tell you the percentage of your battery, and not just by gauging it, but by actually measuring through a shunt what's going in and out of the battery.
What's this thing here?
You can put your no-code charger to that. So if you have a 240 volt charger and you're home, you're done with camping, but you want to keep your battery charged, you just connect your 240 volt charger in there, and it will maintain your battery while it's stored in your garage somewhere.
Cool.
So whenever you start, you already start with a full battery. I think even the tradie could use that to charge his power tools up, and by the end of the day, just take the battery box back into his vehicle, charge it back up either at home or in his vehicle if he's got the vehicle input connected. and be ready for the next day again.
This you can charge everything with here.
Yeah.
And you got your DC to AC.
Yeah, we can probably turn that around so people can see that you've got your 240 watt outlet here, 350 watt, 700 watt short term. And then on top here, you've got your angle fridge outlet, you've got your USB outlets, and you've got your normal accessory outlet. The idea that I had with this is if you put that in your vehicle and you've got camp lights installed in your vehicle, so you got another fuse box in your vehicle pretty much, you can just take one cable, plug that in here, plug the other side into your vehicle, and you've got your second battery connected to all your power consumers on that side. So that's a high amp output, or you could run your ARB compressor off that, or every other compressor, anything that actually needs a little bit more power, you can just connect through an Anderson plug there.
That's cool. Question, dual battery setups for 2 to 4 day trips. Is it worth having battery box versus car mounted, or also worth putting DC to DC in? This is why we've got this up here.
Yeah.
So to answer Aziz's question, that's his name, Aziz. Now I've got my head around this a bit more. There's a few other things I thought about. You could mount this in the back of a tray.
Yeah, you can.
Of your car. You can mount this in a camper trailer.
You could.
In your caravan.
Boat. Yeah,
the
caravan,
boats, yeah, boats. Even just a normal trailer, like a box trailer.
Yeah, normal box trailer, doesn't matter. You can even chuck that into the back of your sedan, really, if you just go camping with a tent.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you arrive somewhere, you set up your camp, you just take that out, put it into your tent. You have to be fairly strong though. It's not lightweight, because it's got an AGM battery in it. Yeah, it will be lighter with a lithium battery.
Your tent will never blow away.
At least not the spot where the battery box stands.
You might tear around it. That's really cool. Okay, well, Aziz, there is a solution.
So this is your non-compromise, proper dual battery system. And if you have got more than one car, you can use it in more than one car. If you sell your car, you can take your dual battery system with you. Or you can even, you would even be able to use that at home at power outages, because you still have got power supply for everything taken into your house. So that's why I called it a Kraftwerk as well. Kraftwerk in German means power plant. And to me, that's what it is. It will just produce power and supply you with power for whatever you need, really.
It makes my capacitor look really uncool.
Thank you.
Ronnie Dahl wants to know, what's the difference between a solar MPPT charger and a PWM charger? Because I can't find anyone who can tell me exactly why a PWM is worse than an MPPT. But I know it's worse. I know it produces less current and charging. But why? How?
Okay. It is relatively simple. PWM controller, that means pulse width modulation. That means that your solar panel that puts out 20 volts, for example, when it's connected to a load, but you only need 14 volts to charge your battery, the PWM controller will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 times a second turn the solar panel off really quickly and then turn it back on. Turn it off, turn it back on, so that you're actually reducing your 20 volt down to 14 volt, which means that your 100 watt solar panel is being turned off about 20–25% of the time and only really works as a 80 or 75 watt solar panel. So that because it turns off the solar panel so quickly, that's how it reduces the output voltage.
So that's how it's reducing the voltage.
Lower voltage, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So because you only need 14 volt for charging your battery, and the PWM just turns your solar panel on and off really quick to reduce the voltage. And that's where you actually lose. While when you use a MPPT, which means maximum power point tracking charger, the maximum power point tracking charger will drive the solar panel into its optimum volt and amperage range, and then use an internal DC-DC charger to reduce the voltage and adjust the amperage to it. So you don't turn the solar panel on and off at all, and you end up having an efficiency of about 95%, roughly, just as a rule of thumb. So that's the big difference in between the two.
Yeah, well, hopefully all you guys followed that one, but that just seems really odd people would even make a PWM charger.
Well, it's a really cheap way.
So it's a cheap way of reducing the current.
That's exactly right. You can buy a PWM controller for $10, $20, while you buy a half decent MPPT controller that will cost you $80 to $150.
Okay, so you're paying for the bit that converts it down.
That's right.
To a lesser.
Yeah, because it pretty much got the same thing built in that a Red Arc BC-DC charger has as well. That's got a DC-DC converter in there as well.
Okay.
And that's harder to produce than something that just simply turns things on
and off.
Yeah.
Like a relay.
Yeah, that's
just
right.
Like a
They just use
relay.
a transistor in there to turn it on and off really quickly.
There you go. I feel enlightened. I've learned so much today. Do-it-yourself mistakes. It sounds really weird when you say do-it-yourself mistakes.
Yeah.
Mistakes done when you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Electrical. Can I say the first one?
Yeah, go.
Okay, the first mistake of DIY electrical is doing it yourself if you don't understand electrical.
Yeah, that's probably...
That's the number one.
The biggest one, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then I guess not realising that you don't know.
But I would say from there, directly followed by not using a fuse. So whatever you connect to a power source, it doesn't matter if it's your starting battery or your second battery, you always have to have a fuse from whatever comes from your main positive terminal. That is the single most important thing. You can stuff up everything behind that as long as there's a fuse in between there and the fuse is rated in a way that it will blow before your wire starts to smoke.
Yeah, well that's the danger, I guess, because if you put a 50 amp fuse in for something that only draws 10 amps and you short circuit it and the wire's really thin,
then you still get a fire, yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But there are, and that brings us to another point in DIY mistakes, using cable size that isn't up for the job. So you can find tables on the internet. It's really easy. Just Google wire gauge amperage and you will find that there are tables where it says 3mm cable is good for up to 7.5 amps, 4mm cable is good for up to 15 amps. You stick within these limitations and you put a fuse in there that is within these limitations as well. You're on the safe side. If you stuff up everything after that, your fuse will blow and everything's in a safe state.
And you'll just be hitting yourself in the face going, what have I done wrong?
Yeah.
Until you work it out. There's a lot of things you need to research. Even if you think you know what you're doing, just research it anyway.
You're risking your vehicle burning to the ground.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and if it happens in your garage, even worse.
And you've told me stories about people who are the 240 world, in the household AC world.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't even get sometimes. Not saying all of them, but some of them don't get it. And then there's also vice versa.
That's right. I mean, I wouldn't wire a house because I don't know how to. Plus, I'm not allowed to because I haven't got the license for it. Another thing is that the two trades, we both deal with electricity, but it is a little bit different. The house electrician, he wires a house, and a house is an object that never moves. There's no vibrations. It doesn't go on dirt roads with corrugations and stuff like that. While a vehicle is very different to that. If you don't secure your cables proper, or if you run your cables past your turbocharger without proper sleeving on it, you create a problem. For a house electrician, that is not always very obvious to do because he's used to putting a cable somewhere and then there's a clamp here and there's another one 3 meters down the line in a car that's asking for problems where you have to have the cable being fixed into position every 10-20 centimeters if you're doing a good job.
Yeah, with UV rated cable ties, where you cable tie it.
That's correct. With sleeving if it's outside the cap.
Yeah, closed connectors, Doji plugs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you got to factor in.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of connectors we can go into. I reckon we can go into connectors for a whole episode, but there's connectors for inside, there's for outside. I think we should do it in another segment.
Yeah.
Otherwise this will blow out to 2 hours.
There's a lot of ground to cover there.
I reckon. Look, dual batteries, that's a whole segment on its own. Solar, I think we just figured out that that's going to be a whole segment on its own. Look, guys, We're probably going to look at the solar one because we have some dedicated battery videos coming up. I've got some lined up, but I think we could talk about solar. We could talk about connectors, what to use. We could talk about spare parts to bring. Vote for whatever you want next time. Tell us what you want.
Yeah, just ask us some questions and we can go more into depth answering them.
And if you like someone's question, get on there and hit their thumbs up on their question so that we can favor the most liked questions. But I think we answered the questions, all the electrical questions. We're pretty much done here, ladies and gents.
We covered quite a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Your whiskey's almost empty as well.
Yeah, yours is still full.
Yeah, what's going on? Talk too much.
You don't like it? Yeah, you definitely did most of the talking.
Yeah.
Thanks guys for watching. You can subscribe somewhere on the screen and do support on Patreon because it helps create content like this, you know, like with the light testing and just everything that we're doing, including the adventure series, and check out the other Talking 4x4 down there. Cheers, Heiner.
Thank you very much for having me here.
No worries, thanks for coming in.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Oh yeah. Cheerio. Friday. It's Friday.